The Metadata Initiative is a collaborative research model with a mission to improve knowledge about critical development issues through rigorous field experiments. In each Metadata round, the initiative coordinates multiple studies on a specific topic or intervention in a variety of countries and contexts. The third Metadata round focused on natural resource governance, with studies in 6 countries exploring the roles, responsibilities, and resources of community-based monitors on the quantity and quality of renewable resources. Here we share the story of an experiment in Peru to evaluate community monitoring as a strategy to combat deforestation of the Amazon rainforest.
Hi, I'm Tara Slough. I'm an assistant professor at New York University, and I'm really happy to share some results with you from our Metadata III project in Peru. In 2018 alone, the tropics globally lost tree cover equivalent to the area of the country of Belgium. One of the reasons that we know how much forest was lost is because of investments in remote sense detection of forest loss. Despite the fact that we can learn relatively quickly where forest loss has occurred through early alert systems, this information rarely reaches the frontline communities who are most directly impacted by deforestation. Our Metadata project studies the effects of a new monitoring program in 76 indigenous communities in the Peruvian Amazon that provided monthly remote sensed early alerts to facilitate efficient monitoring of large communal territories. We find that assignment to monitoring reduced deforestation by 52% of control group levels in the first year, and in the second year, reduced deforestation by 21% of control group levels. We worked with an NGO, Rainforest Foundation US, and 5 indigenous federations to create a monitoring program that responded to local issues and community demand. The communities that we study are mostly titled indigenous communities located in 2 river basins in the Amazon in the northeast of Peru. In this setting, deforestation is generally perpetrated by individuals outside of communities, with or without the collaboration of individuals within communities. There are 3 main drivers of forest loss in this setting. First, slash and burn agriculture. Second, timber extraction. And third, and increasingly, the cultivation of low altitude coca variants bound for Brazilian markets. While it's ultimately the Peruvian state's responsibility to reinforce its anti-deforestation laws, the cost of these operations often limits their scope, leaving indigenous communities to fend for themselves in efforts to police deforestation directly. Our intervention consisted of 3 community socialization visits in which the program was introduced to communities. Communities then selected 3 monitors each, and the monitors were trained and introduced to a new smartphone app that presented early deforestation alerts and allowed them to map their patrol activities. Monitors were incentivized to conduct 1 patrol per monitor per month, gathering information on deforestation to report back to the community. Communities then could decide what to do with this information, whether it meant choosing whether or not to confront deforestation within the community or by filing a complaint to state environmental prosecutors. We present 4 main findings. First, we find large, if noisy, reductions in deforestation. In the first year, treatment communities averted an average of 8.3 hectares of forest loss. This represents 52% of control group levels. These decreases in forest loss were concentrated in communities facing the most severe threats. In these communities, we find an 83% reduction from baseline levels of deforestation. We continued the program into a second year, where we estimate that the monitoring program averted an average of an additional 3.3 hectares of forest loss, though these reductions in the second year are statistically indistinguishable from 0. Second, communities were very eager to participate in the program, suggesting high demand for programs to strengthen communities' ability to respond to forest loss. Demand was so substantial that we had to conduct the selection of communities and the assignment of communities to treatment and control in a public forum to maximize transparency and perceptions of fairness. Even then, our implementers encountered communities outside the experiment over the course of the 2-year implementation who sought to know how they could gain access to this monitoring program. Third, the efficiency of monitoring appears to increase over the course of the intervention. We track deforestation detection through the reports submitted by monitors whenever they encountered an incident of forest loss. In treatment communities, the rate of these reports increases by an average of 2 reports per month. We track the routes that monitors took on their patrols using the smartphone app, and we find that increases in the number of reports submitted per kilometer monitored. This suggests an increase in the efficiency of monitoring as monitors learn where deforestation is most likely in their communities. Finally, we find changes in the attribution of responsibility for forest management within communities. Communities in treatment increasingly attributed responsibility for forest management to monitors, a position that didn't really exist in control communities, in place of community leaders and the community at large. Comparing treatment and control communities, we find evidence that in treatment communities, monitors' frequent patrols stand in for instances where, in control communities, collective action is often stymied or fails to materialize. Our study has 3 main implications. First, an externally facilitated monitoring program reduced deforestation. This is consistent with the general Medicata III finding that externally facilitated monitoring can reduce resource use or resource degradation. Second, in the Peruvian Amazon, we find largely unmet demand for programs to strengthen community responses to deforestation. Here, we used technology to facilitate monitoring. Much policy has been focused on how to strengthen state responses to deforestation. We suggest a complementary role for focus on programs designed to help frontline communities. Finally, national investments in remote sensing can be made more efficient through investments in accessibility. Our monitoring program provides proof of concept that frontline communities can act upon the information contained in early alerts to facilitate stronger community responses to deforestation. Thank you so much.
The Medicata Initiative is led by Evidence in Governance and Politics at the University of California, Berkeley. It is partially funded by the UK's Department for International Development and involves a global network of researchers conducting studies in countries around the world.